Europe is sweltering under one of its earliest and hottest heat waves on record. Scientists say climate change is driving unseasonably high temperatures. Tonight, we take a look at how some countries are trying to adapt, coming to terms with global warming that is here to stay.
Blazing fires and scorching droughts. In the face of rising temperatures, European nations are looking for ways to adapt to this new normal. In Spain, a combination of extreme heat and dry conditions sparked the outbreak of forest fires across the country. The June heat wave drove temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius in multiple regions, as high as 14 degrees above the monthly average. Nestled in the arid heart of the country, the capital Madrid sweltered in the unseasonably brutal heat.
Trees like this one here are being brought in as a savior because Madrid is building a green belt around the city. This means basically that trees are being planted in the gaps that are between already existing parks and forests, and this should help to bring down the temperatures a bit, up to 4 degrees actually, and they're planting 500,000 trees. This should have an effect as an air conditioner, basically, just a very gigantic one.
But these searing summers are not limited to the sunny south of Europe. With high temperatures expected to arrive earlier and last longer, countries in the north are also being forced to adapt. In Brandenburg, Germany, a lack of rain is posing a serious challenge for farmers. Years of drought have baked the already dry soil, making it even harder to store the water necessary for growing crops.
This farm in Brandenburg is counting on regenerative agriculture to help it withstand drought and soil erosion. Regenerative agriculture is all about keeping the soil healthy, and it does so with many different techniques. At this farm, for example, they've implemented cover crops. These are crops that are planted directly onto the soil and help keep it moist instead of just being harvested. Now, regenerative agriculture is not going to solve the problem of climate change, but it can help make farms like this one in Brandenburg more resilient to heat and drought in the years to come.
For countries across Europe, these approaches are helping to mitigate the effects of an ever hotter world. But mitigation alone will not be enough to solve the global challenges posed by climate change.
And for more, I want to turn now to Carolina Umenhofer. She is a physical oceanographer at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. She joins us this evening from Lisbon in Portugal. Carolina, it's good to have you with us. Before we get started, I would like to share with our viewers a map that shows the position of high-pressure systems in the Atlantic. Now, it's named after and it's located around the Azores. These are islands belonging to Portugal. We see that right there in the Atlantic, way off the coast of Africa. Your team, which has just published research in the journal Nature Geoscience, has concluded that unprecedented changes to that high-pressure system are impacting the climate of Western Europe. So talk to me about what role does the Azores high-pressure system play in our weather?
Yes, so the Azores High is a subtropical high-pressure system and an important climate feature in the North Atlantic. The size and position of the Azores High can steer the path of rain-bearing weather systems from the North Atlantic onto Europe during wintertime. And for example, the Iberian Peninsula receives large portions of its annual winter rainfall during that time. And when the Azores High is unusually large during winter, it essentially blocks the passage of rain-bearing weather systems, and drier conditions result in the Iberian Peninsula. On the other hand, further north, a stronger storm track, i.e. that preferred path of rain-bearing low-pressure systems take over the North Atlantic, that is strengthened further north. And that means that the northern British Isles and Scandinavia can expect wetter conditions during winter time.
And what changes have you recorded? I mean, what are you seeing? Are you seeing this impact that you just described?
Yes, indeed. So we've looked at the size of the Azores High over time, how that has been changing in instrumental data, so station data that was taken across meteorological stations all over Europe over the last 150 years or so. And we found that over the past century, the number of extremely large Azores High events during wintertime has increased significantly. Since 1980, it's actually 2 to 3 times more likely to have such an extremely large Azores High during winter than in the previous 100 years. We also wanted to put this into a longer context. 100 years is not that long in a climatic context. And so we've gone to climate model simulations that extend these records back about 1,200 years. And we found that the number of extremely large Azores High that we've seen during the last 100 years is actually really unusual in the context of the last 1,200 years. At no time during the last 1,200 years did we see that many extremely large Azores High. And so that's a pretty significant change to previous conditions.
And Carolina, are you convinced then that these changes that you've seen, are they the result, are they anthropogenic? Are they the result of human activity?
So the climate model simulations allow us to actually tease apart different factors and how they've contributed to changes in the Azores High. So we have a series of simulations, some that just isolate the effect of natural variability, for example, volcanic eruptions, or the effect of solar variability, or the effect of greenhouse gases. And what we've seen when we compare the number of extremely large Azores High events during wintertime, that only those simulations that contain anthropogenic greenhouse gases show this rapid rise that we've observed in the last 100 years. So the climate model simulations indicate that natural variability cannot explain this increase in the number of winters with extremely large Azores High, but greenhouse gases can.
Okay. Physical oceanographer Carolina Ummenhofer, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. It's a sobering assessment, but it's good we've got scientists like you explaining what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.